afternoon, everyone. Welcome back, and I hope you're ready to finish off side by side strong with the last few sessions of the conference this afternoon. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I'm Casey McLeod, the managing broker of California and Colorado for Side. Thank you. Yes. Applause now. So today we'll have an amazing discussion on such an important negotiation skill that we all utilize every day in our business, which is overcoming objections. Whether this is with your buyers discussing a potential offer price or negotiating repairs, or on a listing appointment and discussing a proper listing price and setting your commission with the seller, to even dealing with agents on the other side of the transaction, we must overcome objections we face every day. Handling objections is a complex process for real estate agents. There's a fine line between being too passive and too adversarial when a client shows apprehension during or even before negotiations begin. The key is learning how to do this without seeming confrontational. Objection handling should not involve pressuring or arguing with your clients or prospects, but rather it's a way of building trust by listening and asking the right questions so that the prospect forms a more favorable opinion of the situation on their own. To help take your objection handling skills to the next level, our amazing panelists will share their tried and true methods of overcoming objections and share some real life scenarios along the way. So today, we're joined by Joey Burgundy with Velocity Real Estate in San Diego.
You hear that? People like me?
People must like you.
That's weird.
Or you paid this half of the crowd.
No, I paid that too.
Yeah.
I paid that, but I paid that as well.
Kim Squalia with House Real Estate in Sacramento. And she did not have to pay them, by the way.
Oh, come on.
And we have Brian Hill with Mint Real Estate right down the road here in Irvine. So Joey Burgundy is quite possibly our youngest side partner. So only one person thought that was cool.
We love that.
Born in Chicago, Joey was raised in Los Gatos, California, before pursuing baseball at the University of San Diego. Joey began his real estate career in marketing sales and learned the ins and outs by working at a boutique real estate company. Interacting with several top producers inspired him to acquire his own clients, and Joey's grit paid off immensely. He completed more than 100 transactions in his first 4 years in the business and has received numerous awards along the way. Joey is consistently placed in the top 500 agents in San Diego and has been recognized as a San Diego 30 Under 30 member. Less than a year ago, Joey partnered with Side to launch Velocity Real Estate and already has seen tremendous growth, almost doubling in units and size of his team. Next, we have Kim Squalia, who can easily spot the hidden potential in any home. She's a talented painter whose beautiful works of art have been showcased all over the world. Kim employs her artistic eye for superior architecture to help people find beautiful homes they can't wait to live in. A real estate professional since 2013, Kim's specialty lies in the older, more established properties of Sacramento. Kim knows the importance of honest and thoughtful communication through the entire real estate experience and gracefully counseled 117 of her clients this past year alone through their journey into a successful future with smart real estate investments. So Brian Hill was born and raised nearby in Newport Beach and was in high school when he was first introduced to real estate by his father, who was a developer. Brian jumped into the industry in 2008 by joining one of the top teams in the nation and learning from its best agents. Additional experience managing staff and implementing company-wide sales processes have given him a more rigorous and broader insight into the business. Since then, he's achieved more than $335 million in residential real estate sales volume. Brian has established himself as a knowledgeable real estate professional who is fiercely dedicated to his team and delivers top-tier service to his clients. He was also the founder of his Young Professionals Network in Newport Beach and has served on the board of directors at the Laguna Board of Realtors. Whether his clients are first-time home buyers in search of the perfect condo, in the market for a multi-million-dollar oceanfront home, or investors looking to expand their portfolios, Brian uses his extensive Southern California market experience, education, and analytical skill to turn their visions into reality. So welcome, and thank you all for joining us today to share your insights with us all. So Joey, let's start with you. Joey actually just got back from his honeymoon, so congratulations. His wife's right here in the front row. So if you're married long enough, your wife's just going to be hanging out in the back. But right now,
Erica will always be in the front. I can always count on her for that. I love you.
So Joey, what is the secret to seeing eye to eye with your clients?
So Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for coming out. The first thing is a shameless plug. If you go on Instagram, DM me DISC. You are going to get a free DISC test because everything we're going to be talking about now is DISC, personality type. So seeing eye to eye with your clients, a lot of people just don't think and they just spit out what they want to say. But it's all about knowing who you're talking to. So 4 distinct personality types. We have direct, we have expressive, we have amiable, and structured. So if you know how to talk to them, it's very easy to overcome the objections that are given your way. So first, I'm going to start with direct because it's the easiest one. Brian right here, if you can assume by looking at him, he's very direct. Now, a direct person, let's say you're on a listing appointment and they're sitting there in front of their chair, their hands are on the table, they have eye contact the whole time. You get through your pre-marketing, you get through your staging, your photos, your videos, and they look at you and say, I'm not signing the contract. With a direct, instantly you know, right off their feedback, there's logic to it. So you say, hey, why aren't you going to sign it? They're going to give an answer right away, whether it's, hey, it's the commission split, I don't agree with your pre-marketing, whatever it is. Overcoming objections with directs, you just follow logic. You say, hey, this is the question you asked, this is the answer you receive. Next, we're going to go into my favorite, which is expressive, which is myself, if you can't tell. I mean, I can get up here and talk to you guys, and it's like just sitting at home talking to myself in the shower. It's just second nature. Expressives are all story-based in feelings. So showing homes to like myself, I'd be the worst. I'd be walking through every part of the home like, oh, I can't wait to play with my dog in the backyard, or like my TV's gonna look so great on that wall. With expressives, any type of objection that they give you, you have to go back in their heart. Walking through a home's expressives will say, hey, you know what? Like, after thinking about it, I don't think we're gonna actually write an offer on that home. It's very easy to say, well, I thought you were talking about like your son's friend lives down the street, you guys are gonna play in the backyard, how exciting is that? It's very easy to get them back in because expressives get in our own way. We'll get so wrapped up in the emotions that it's very easy to get distracted with what we're looking at. Next is structured, which, is there any structured people in this room? Oh gosh, you are my least favorite, no offense. Dealing with a structured, all objections are based off statistics. So you gotta know everything from the interest rate to what the mortgage payment's gonna be like, the amount of interest they're paying on the loan, school districts, proximity, what the average comps are in the neighborhood, anticipated offer prices, and everything that a structured person is gonna give you in any type of objection is defeated with numbers. So for example, you're going through a home with a structured person and they're saying, hey, you're not sure if I wanna make an offer or not on this. What we do at Velocity with our team is we will have a spreadsheet with every number that we think is applicable to that transaction. So we can sit there in the front of the house and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. Here are 3 payment estimates. These are 3 offers. We anticipate this result with this offer. And if you give a structured person enough information, they will make a decision without thinking twice. And then lastly, we have amiable. Amiable people are ones that are gonna sit, they're gonna think, they're gonna digest. So listing presentation with an amiable person. Do not bring a contract. As contradictory as that sounds, you want to give an amiable person enough time to digest the information that you're giving them so that they feel like they're making a decision on them. So if an amiable person is sitting there and you try and push a contract out at them, 9 times out of 10, they're going to sign it because it's confrontation. They're going to want nothing to do with it. So if you feel that, if you're feeling that emotional tension in the room with an amiable person, best thing to do is say, hey, you know what? I'm going to docu-sign this in the morning. It just so happens that I have to run out to another appointment and connect with them then. So we'll get into it more when we start bouncing ideas off each other. But if you know the 4 personalities, it's sales 101 that you're going to be able to overcome any objection thrown your way.
So, awesome. Joey, I've got a scenario that happened just a couple months ago.
Oh, I'm not taking questions.
Well, I think we learn a lot more from our failures than we do our successes, and this one weighed on me for a while, and it actually ties into exactly what you're talking about right now. So we went on a listing appointment, and they wanted to, obviously maximize their dollar, get as much as they can for the house, and they were asking us how to do it. We have a really good relationship with Michael and Dilip over at Revive, so we're saying, we'll get them in here, we'll spend maybe $30,000, $50,000, get the place cleaned up, put it on the market, and then they also had to purchase a house in Ohio before they sold.
Okay.
But they were worried about the 2 different scenarios and what they were gonna do, so then we also brought HomeLight up, right? What I didn't do correctly was read the room because both of them are doctors. So bringing something new to the table that most people aren't familiar with just ruined it right off the bat, and I lost a listing.
Yep.
So how would you approach them?
So knowing that they're both doctors, we're going to assume that they're mostly structured and a little amiable at the same time. So if when presenting a lot of information to amiables, they get overwhelmed and they turn off. So the best thing would have been is give them 2 options and say, what we're going to do is we're going to work through these 2. And if that doesn't work, then bring in home light or whatever your third option is. And the more communication, but giving them the time to actually process it would have worked. But now also, if we're in a listing appointment, let's say they were more direct. I would have just given them one option. Said, hey, from our experience from doing A, B, and C in your market with the people you want to do, because I know that you have the sales to back it up, this is the one that's going to get you the highest ROI, the fastest result, and be the easiest chance for you to unfortunately go to Ohio.
Right. Yeah, the response that I got.
Sorry if anyone's from Ohio, my mom is.
The response I got from them was, we're doctors, we're kind of like all about that tried and true method. We're all about medicine, not all this new stuff. So
Give them the one.
give them the one. All right.
I have a quick question for you. So is there ever a point that you see a personality type that you feel like, I don't want to work with this person. I'm going
Structure.
to cut it off now. And
Structure.
I mean, because sometimes it seems like it's going to save you from going down the road with a toxic person.
Yes.
That's,
So another thing.
not a right fit.
Yeah, another thing we do are buyer's consultations. So we will know within 10 minutes if it's going to be a client that works well with us. Because I got my team here, we value our time a lot, and we are very, very happy saying no to clients. Like if we know like, hey, you know what, this person's going to take too much of our time that we don't have, we'll try and find a fit in our market that makes sense. But for me, if I'm sitting down with someone structured, I'm like, I'm going to talk circles around them, and they're just going to look at me and tell me to shut up and give them the information.
Awesome. Well,
Good luck.
so with that, I guess I should shut up and.
Yeah. You want to switch seats?
Right. But any other tricks that you can think of, Joey, when looking at somebody's personality, especially like on listing appointments? That seems where we always have the most trouble. But at the same time, maybe with buyers, when we're trying to get them, they want to write an offer on a house. Maybe they know it's a seller's market, obviously everywhere, but they still think they want to write an under asking offer. Like how do you approach that with their personalities?
So with the direct, you tell them no. That easy. Structured, what we do, we actually were working with a structured guy looking at multi-units, and we will write his below asking offer, and then what we will do is we will take the growth percentage for that home in that neighborhood month over month, take the offer price that he lost out on, which we're usually off by like 100,000, Javier, and we'll calculate it over 6 months and say, hey, because you wanted to do this stupid move to save money, this is what you missed out on 6 months. In Expressive, we'll tell them the story on how we've been dealing with this for years, and as a buyer's market, we've seen so many families miss out on their opportunity, and like, they're not having that first meal in the house. They're not having the first hangout, and whatever it is. You just go right into the stories, and with amiables, it's one of those things where it's a takeaway with an amiable, because amiables love to process. So if you go, we're gonna miss out on this one then, and just shut up. With an amiable, they will spiral. They'll be like, oh no, I don't want to miss out. I want to make sure I get this. My wife wants it, my husband wants it, my partner, whatever it is, but let them process it and amiables will come back around.
It's great advice. I like that.
Thank you.
I just like dealing with direct people because
I love
can
it.
just be really direct right back to them.
Why do I talk to Brian every day?
Yeah, you won't leave me alone.
Awesome. Well, so Kim, so we've all been in situations where we're in the middle of an escrow and something gets a little sideways. Many times this is when negotiating requests for repairs takes place, and we're asked to contribute commissions to keep the deal together. We've all been there, right? So this may be necessary in some situations, but too many times agents unnecessarily throw in credits when they don't need to. So what are your experiences with this, and how do you handle these situations?
Okay, so I have a little story I was going to tell. It's not related at all to real estate. I hope it's okay. Okay, so do you guys know who the band Public Enemy is? They're like OG rap band from the 80s.
Sing a song.
Total legends. Fight the power. So like 17 years ago, my husband and I, we live in Sacramento, and we don't get that many big acts. He's from New York, so he's super stoked. We're going to see Public Enemy. We go to the concert venue. There's a sign on the door, and it says, concert canceled because low ticket sales. So we go back to the record store, because 17 years ago you bought tickets at a record store. We go back to the record store, we go in there, we're like all deflated, and we put the tickets on the counter, and the guy goes, hey, the band's here, do you want to meet them? We were like, what? Chuck D and Flavor here? And so we go over, and Chuck D's just rifling through records. We go introduce ourselves, and I shake his hand. He was super gracious, and I said, my name's Kim. He's like, oh, your name's Kim. You got to go meet Flav. So he takes me over, introduces me, and goes, hey, Flav, this is Kim. Why don't you tell her what Kim means? And he goes, keep it moving. Always keep it moving. Gave me a high five and a hug, and hung out with us. They were so awesome. And my husband and I were just like giddy school kids. We got in the car. We were all excited. And that little saying, keep it moving, kind of became our mantra. Like, we had babies, and you'd be changing a dirty diaper or whatever, and you're just like, we'd look at each other like, keep it moving, or whatever, doing dishes in the bathtub because we were remodeling the kitchen, anything like that. So I feel like throughout my life, I've always taken the approach of like, just keep momentum, keep it going. If you stop, in fact, Guy said something yesterday. He said, if you sit still, oh, shoot. Hang on. If you sit still, you won't grow and you'll decline. And I feel like a transaction is exactly like that. So there's going to be times where you're going back and forth with a request for a repair, and there's just nobody seeing eye to eye, and it's probably over something stupid. It's a couple $1,000s. If you're doing a lot of volume, which I bet a lot of you are, sometimes it's just easier to come in and maybe be the hero and say, hey, I'm going to take care of that. Let's just keep moving. So if you keep the transaction moving, if it stops and stagnates and you're arguing back and forth, your job is, you can't always make everybody happy, but if you can make them, your seller feel like they're not, totally taking a bath because this $15,000 sewer and you're willing to contribute $5, they're going to refer you business. About 90% of my business is referred from previous clients, and I feel like when I contribute, that it's almost like marketing dollars. So I know I should be up here telling you not to contribute money, and I do have, I know I'm taking up too much time, but I do have tips for not contributing. But I think that if you look at it like marketing, like, hey, if I give this money to this person, they're going to give me that 5-star Google review later. That's going to bring me more business. And it's not all the time. Obviously, nobody likes to give commission. I'm not doing it out the front. But if you want to keep the transaction moving, sometimes you have to do it. And sometimes if you have 17 escrows going, you can't take the time to keep going back and forth and arguing with people. And it's just easier to just go, okay, that 30 minutes is valuable. I'm just going to write a check. And I know that's not, what I'm here that I'm supposed to be talking about, but it's worked for me. And I think I probably gave away, I don't know, $50,000 last year.
Oprah!
I gave away a lot. But I did over 100 deals, and it worked. And, the referral business keeps coming. So sorry that went a little long. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. You did good.
And so, Brian, what have been your experiences in those situations?
In those situations, it always varies person to person. I've gotten a lot recently where the first conversation I'm having with people is, hey, if I work with you, would you give me a half a point or a full point back? And when I got that 2 days ago from a home light lead. I'm like, well, I'm already giving 25% to them. I can't give you another 20%. He's like, I had no idea. You're the only home light agent that I've talked to today that's actually told me that. But because I did, we continued the conversation and set an appointment for actually tomorrow. And he already said, don't worry about it, we're good. But because you're providing that value up front, and that's what you have to do. And like you're right, you do have to give it up sometimes. It happens, but I always try and get something in return. It seems like you're getting more and more business, you're getting your 5-star reviews, all that. I've done it in the past where I will give you that half point right now, but I need you to introduce me to somebody first that's gonna be buying or selling in the next 3 months. And it's just a give and take. Never just give. You got to receive as well.
And Joey, any situations you've been in where you're asked to contribute?
So it's the same way. If someone's coming to us and says, hey, can we have a little bit? Can you help us get it done? It's the same thing. It's saying, yeah, we were more than willing to contribute right now, but I'm going to hound you for reviews, and you better send over a referral before I sign that check. It's something that it creates a weird relationship, you say, with your clients. Like, it's a very gracious, like, you don't have to do that, but you care enough to get it done, so thank you. But I think our way of also like getting the reviews or getting the referrals is it's paying us back tenfold. So it happens all the time. I think a lot of things new agents freak out about is it's the ones and twosies agents that just want to do one. So they're like, here's half my check, hoping that it will work. Just don't do it to that extreme.
I know one thing we always say is if I can't negotiate my commission, how can I negotiate this for the sale of your house?
Yeah.
You know, that's obviously a good start. But there's also things that I was really surprised when we were kind of prepping for this. I was talking to these guys, and I'm in a smaller market. They're in San Diego and Orange County. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, you guys probably do all your inspections ahead of time and all your disclosures, just like in the Bay Area. And they said, no, we don't. And
we're lazy.
I was so surprised because, so Sacramento is starting to follow along with how the Bay Area people do it, which is all the inspections up front, everybody, the buyers look at it and decide, like, if you want a repair or something up front, which you usually don't because there's 20 offers, then they have to ask for it up front. That already alleviates all the secondary negotiations on the seller side. So already you're keeping more of your commission right there. I think that that's a huge, so I'm requiring all my listings to do that now, which I never did, but now I am.
Yeah, we see a lot less issues with escrows falling out because everything is provided up front. Everybody knows what's going on. And I have some worthless advice, but as most of you know, I'm pretty direct. So when somebody, I mean, I don't transact much anymore, but when I would be asked to contribute, now early on in my career, you know, I got my license when I was 22, you know, I did whatever it took to make sure the escrow closed, and I didn't want to cause any confrontation. I wanted to get paid. I had, you know, credit card bills, you know, but then after a couple of years, a very experienced agent, she'd been a top producer longer than I'd been alive, and you know, she's like, stop giving away your money. It's your money, you've earned it, stop giving it away. And from that point forward, somebody asked me to contribute, I just said no. That's it. Joey would hate working with me. I'm too direct.
Yeah. Well, no, I'd enjoy it because I'd call and be like, hey, the file's done. You'd be like, great. And I'd be like, how's your day? And you'd hang up on me.
Probably.
I don't think I've ever had a buyer ask me to contribute.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's like on
They
our
never
end, like
ask.
our San Diego group talk about it all the time. It's mostly on repairs.
They never ask though. It's always, maybe it's just because I offer first, but.
Oh, I offer in the 11th hour. They got asked 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I've never had somebody have to come to ask. Like, I've obviously had sellers that are like, you cut your commission, and obviously we hate to do that. And but there are times where it's a really good house and it's in the best neighborhood, and you're going to get your sign on that corner, and you know, it might be worth taking. And in so many cases, it has been, because people are like, I can't believe you sold that house for that much, and then we've gotten tons, you know, listing agreements or listing appointments because of that specific sign placement.
All right, so now, Brian, back to you. So we are constantly feeling more and more pressure on the commissions that we charge, right? A lot of pressure on us to lower commissions, mostly from bad advice that sellers find online, to iBuyer models and discount brokerages out there. Sellers can find someone willing to list their home for less. So you work with a lot of sellers. How do you handle these conversations when you're on your listing appointments?
Well, like, show of hands, has anybody ever asked to give up their commission, buyer side, list side? Like, not that I can see anything.
I know.
Slides, but if you didn't put your hand up, we got 2 empty chairs right here for you to come up and join.
Yeah.
But
Sit right in the hot seat.
yeah, right in the hot seat. This 1 week, or I think it was, 3 calls within 2 weeks that I got. And this was like right at the beginning of the pandemic. And they asked me just right off the bat, hey, I found you online. How much do you charge to sell my house? I'm like, oh, it depends, but you know, we're gonna be anywhere between 5 and 6%, depending on, you know, your property, where it's located, if there, you know, it needs any work. They're like, well, somebody will do it for 1.5, so click, done. And that happened 3 times within 2 weeks. So obviously, we're heading in a new trend, and we have to adapt constantly. So the next time I got one of those calls, I go, well, it can be for as little as 1%, but we'll talk about it more, because I needed to get into the living room. If I'm not even getting in there to do the listing presentation, I've got no shot. So from there, what we'll do is, walk them through the process, and again, depending on what they need, start at that 1%, but then put in, let's just say the house is gonna be listed at $1 million. And in this market right now, we know we're gonna get 15, 20, 25 offers. I've seen even some houses get over 57, which one of my agents
painful.
just did. It's wild. And what's crazy on that one, we ended up getting it. It was April Stevenson down in Temecula. The sellers were offering $100 for the buyer's commission. $100. She wasted more money on gas than she, made on the deal. And, that's before side takes their $10, right? So what was wild, she actually got them the deal. She created so much value for the clients. The clients actually went into their pockets and paid her 2% and got it done, right? So as long as you're doing your job and you're treating your clients like the way they deserve to be treated, she got them their dream house, and they paid it forward.
Wow.
Some other things that we're doing on the listing side, right? So yeah, I'll go in, I'll take it at that 1%, but we'll do it for every $10,000 that we get over that $1 million, we're going to keep 25% of it, right? Or it goes up to 1.5% if we get you to $1,025,000, 2% if we get you to $1,050,000, and it's not hard to do right now. Like, I believe in what we do and getting as many offers in as possible to drive up that price. Is that going to change when the market turns? Sure, then we'll have to adapt again. But you got to be open to change and doing something new, and getting that, actually getting in that living room, getting that listing signed, is a lot easier when they're not hanging up when you say 5 or 6%.
Well, and that's huge, because so many people that's what they think, that's all that matters is, oh, well, if this guy's charging 3%, but this other agent will do it for 1%, there's 2% on my bottom line, and that's all they can think about. But what they don't realize is the value that you bring and the marketing that you're going to put into it to get offers well in excess of that 2% they think they're saving.
Right.
And I know when we were preparing for this call, I didn't think about going ahead and taking that lower commission, but then we're doing those 0.25% increments based on an extra 10,000 over asking. And yeah, in this market, who's not going to get offers well over that amount and be able to help get you that 2.5 or 3% listing side commission that you're after? So I thought
Yeah,
that
at that
was
point,
really
you
good.
just need to make sure you get it at the price you want to list it at.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Don't,
Right? That's
don't take an overpriced
You can't
list.
list it at 1.3 when it's going to sell for a little, over $1 million or so. So that's going to be the key to that.
Awesome. Joey, any other insight there?
Well, so I know most of what we've been talking about is price. I know you go on a lot of listing presentations, Brian. What other objections are you receiving at these listing presentations that are not price or money related?
It's more so situational on what their next move is, right? If they need to buy before they sell, if we can do renovations, that has been probably the number one thing. It's not really objections. It's asking, what can I do to get the most amount of money, and besides cutting the commissions, right? We even tell everybody, even if we come down 0.5% or so, you have to give 2.5% on the buy side, or else that buyer's going to show somebody else, right? So it's really just about making them, getting the biggest bottom line for them. But it hasn't really been objections.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, because we tend to assume that objections are like stuff for us to butt our head into.
Right.
But if you look at it as opportunities to add more value, it's going to also change your own mindset when someone throws a wrench in your plan. If you're looking at it as an opportunity to actually add or provide more, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to do your job.
And Kim, how about you when you're on those listing appointments and you're feeling that pressure from the seller? Or maybe not even the pressure, but it's just like, they offer, or they say, oh, well, this other agent we interviewed is going to do it for less. What do you say?
I use 2 words, and I say, if you want to go with a discount brokerage and kind of like put it in there, this is what they're going to provide you. Here's what I can provide you. And I'm really lucky. I belong to the most dynamic team. I don't know if you saw the talk about branding, but my partner's Tim Collum. He's the best marketer that I know. And if you are with a team like that and you can say, hey, we have 50,000 followers on social media, this is how we get business, why don't you go ahead and look at our website, read our 5-star reviews. If you want to go with the discount brokerage, you could go look at their site and see what they provide too. So I feel like we really are, we have so much more to give. We're also able to bridge gaps if we need to. Whereas, if you're, I don't want to talk bad about any other brokerages, but there are some brokerages that they can't bridge a gap with commission if they have to. If something unforeseen stuff comes up all the time, and it might just be a couple $100, it might be $5,000, but there's some brokerages that there's nothing left. There's nothing in there for them. And I mean, I feel like we do really well. We get paid really well for what we do. And sometimes you're making 20 cents an hour on that deal because it was a really tough one. And then there's times where you're like, I made 5 times as much as the surgeon today because somebody called you and made an offer on a $2 million house and you did nothing. So I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. So I just try to let them know what I'm providing.
Yeah, we just keep it moving now.
Yeah, just keep it moving, you guys.
Next tattoo.
Awesome. Well, we did want to leave time for questions. So if anybody does have any questions for our panelists, please come up to the microphone here.
Austin, sit down.
Yeah.
And Austin, we're looking forward for your question. But yes.
Hi, my name is Jessica Wagner. I'm with District Homes. So here's a question that I've gotten in listing presentations recently, and I don't have a good response for it. Curious if you have a good response. They will ask us how many clients we're currently working with, and it's tough because you want to demonstrate that you really know what you're doing because you have a ton in the pipeline. You have clients everywhere in the pipeline, people who you're preparing, to go to list, people in escrow. But clients also want to feel like they're really the only one that you have. And of course, then we have the social media presence where we're blasting. I mean, our job is to market all of our amazing listings. So I'm curious if you've gotten this question. I think that we've probably lost 2 listing presentations this year because people were possibly concerned that we wouldn't be able to provide them with that one-on-one specialness.
I think you answered your own. I think you answered your own question, kind of, because when you explained initially, well, we have these people in the pipeline and we have this many listings, and I think just being honest with them and telling them about your support staff and that you have, and I don't know what your support staff is, but I know for me, I say, I have an amazing transaction coordinator. I have a listing coordinator. We have the best photographer in the business. We all work together as a team to make sure that you have all the specialists on your side together. You'll be working directly with me because I'm going to coordinate all these people, but they have their own specialties and I have mine, which is to market your house and sell your house. And I think if they don't want to work with you after that, then maybe they weren't a good fit anyways.
Yeah, because by leaning on the team, it's actually more of a flex of your muscles to say, I've done well enough for my sellers in the past that I have these people supporting me now. So it's not a knock of, oh, how many clients do I have? Well, the answer is a lot. Does that make you feel better? The real answer is that we are so good at our process and the way that our team flows that we are able to handle a lot. And you aren't just be another number in there, you're not another listing. By joining our process, this is what you get. You're gonna have conversations with our listing coordinator. I'm gonna come over with coffee. We're gonna have open house. You have all this stuff that you can just add more value into by saying you have a ton of clients, but you have an efficient process for it.
And a track record.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Austin loves to use this, this line and this analogy where, it's always leaning on the team, right? So we have our operations manager, we have a showing partner. If I can't make a showing that day, or she can, or somebody else on the team can, Austin likes to say, we're the doctor, the team is the nurses, they have the bedside manner. I'm here to make the important decisions, do the negotiating, and make it a smooth transaction. Am I going to open every door? No, but I'm going to be there for everything that you need from me to have the best experience possible.
Thank you.
Any other questions? See, I think
Besides this guy.
Oh, good. Here comes Austin, too.
Hi, my name is April from Zen Realty from San Francisco Bay Area. I have a question. I interviewed with a seller, potential seller. Has nothing to do with me, but the seller said her CPA recommend her never sell the property. How do you handle this?
Did she give an exact reason or just said CPA told her not to do
Because
it?
the tax reason.
Wow. That's situation to situation. That's a
You need to consult your tax professional.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Can you actually show us their taxes so we can break it down on stage?
well, if you ask a CPA will tell you that you will have a capital gain. There's a large capital gain on that. If you pass this property to your daughter, and then the basis of the property will automatically adjust to the fair market value. And then that part of gain, you can avoid the tax. So, because I was a accounting major, I understand what she's talking about. I don't know how to.
So would they
Discuss with her.
pass it to their daughter and then sell it? Just put it in her name, or
No,
are they
she-
just saying like, don't sell it?
Okay, so her goal is to sell the property in Sunnyvale and move to somewhere close to her daughter. But because the tax consequence, and she felt maybe I should just keep this property and not to move on her life, hold on the property. Eventually, if she passed, and the property gonna pass to her daughter to avoid the tax consequence.
Okay.
Well,
I
and
think
so
it's just a personal.
Yeah,
Well-
it's all by desire and need.
I think it's hard, too, because we can't talk about tax advice. We can't talk about the exemptions and the 250 and 500,000. So as your broker, do not give tax advice.
He'll talk about it on the next town hall.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be our next town hall. But the one thing you can mention to them is, well, have you looked into Prop 19? Because there is portability options out there if they qualify. So if they have grown children, they're looking at moving closer, they could very well be of the right age that they qualify to transfer their tax basis. And again, we can't really go beyond that, but you can provide them information about Prop 19, and then maybe that's something they can utilize to move where their CPA is telling them don't sell because of capital gains.
Well, the only thing I can recommend to her is she need to look into her rest of her life. There's some things she need to move on instead of just money. It's the quality of her life. But I don't know anything else.
That's a great answer,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, what's her personality?
She's she's very conservative. She's a single lady, just herself.
Okay.
I think she's probably C.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I have an answer, yeah. So there are financial people that have programs that will help her. So and they are not CPAs, but they have specific programs where she can defer taxes and things like that. And I'm not just talking about 1031 exchanges and Delaware trusts. I'm talking about other programs that are out there. If you want to find me, my name is Peggy Noft. I can give you the name of a guy that I've used with my clients, and he will walk them through, very clearly what her options are. So there are options.
Thank you, Peggy.
Awesome.
Austin Glass, Southern California Mint Real Estate. You guys keep saying add value. What would be a couple of examples when you're talking to buyers that are maybe asking for that point back on their buyer commission? What are some of the value propositions you guys are giving?
So on a buyer specifically, adding value in their buying process is not just showing up at the door and opening it and having them walk through. It's having very meaningful conversations with listing agents. It's driving the point of their offer strongest to get accepted. And then the other value side is once they're in escrow. So making sure that they're with credible escrow, credible title, their home inspector is good, and that we do our best job creating relationships, because a lot of agents are like, we're in escrow, we're celebrating, we're getting paid. But most of that value is creating relationships with the partners on the buyer side, showing that we're earning more than our 2.5%, in my opinion, by making sure that everything goes smoothly for them. So that's what I would say value is.
So I know that you specifically, you've gone in and you've talked to our team about this. You do buyer consultations with every single person you work with, even if it's a family referral.
Yes.
So you're able to, do you feel like you're able to paint that picture early on in that consult with the value so they don't even really ask you for that credit back?
Yeah, because so show of hands, do people do buyer consultations here? Okay, good. Life-changing. You're going to be able in 10 minutes know where they want to buy, how to talk to them, and when they want to buy. But that whole time with the side booklet, I know most of you guys are using that marketing plan or buyer's handbook. Use that, but also you make sure you have other pieces to talk about your value add or things you've done in the past, like as examples. Like with you guys, with your team, you guys do a great job with your agents making sure that they have examples to go in and then also past results to talk about. So combining that, making sure you're building relationships and everything side provides to us, there's a huge pool of value that we add in any consultation.
I think also, if you talk about your relationships with other agents, if you're in a specialized area, we're a boutique brokerage, there's a few other ones, and then there's kind of like the big brokerages too. And in the neighborhood mainly that I work in, when I have a buyer, I call all those agents and say, hey, this is what I have coming up. What do you have coming up? We kind of scratch each other's backs. We know the main agents that work in the area. And I think telling my buyers about those relationships that I have with other agents, and that sometimes those deals do lead to off-market possibilities, and kind of the percentage of things that we're able to do off-market with our buyers and sellers, and explaining there might be a buy now price with our sellers because I have a team and I know what's coming up with my team before everybody else does in the community, and I have a kind of a baller team. So they get a lot of listings, and I think that piece of the puzzle for our buyers adds so much value to them. And I don't know if that was exactly what we were talking about, because you were talking about credit.
We just don't listen to Austin at all. We just talk about what we want to talk about.
I think that's really undervalued, like our relationships that we have with other agents, right? Like that's why I love coming to this place and collaborating. And Joey, you and I talk at least a couple times a week.
Not enough.
Not enough.
It's usually about football, I think, though.
But like if you have a good relationship with the agent on the other side, especially right now where they're getting a dozen offers, more than likely, as long as your buyer is in a good spot, is fully pre-approved, like ready to go, an actual good buyer, you're probably going to get the deal over the other 12 agents, right? On top of that, I want to add, a value proposition that I love. As long as the client knows where they want to buy, right? And I'm not talking like from Chula Vista to Santa Barbara, but like actually a community. Perfect example is Nelligel in Laguna Hills. It's 1,500 homes, and my client only wanted to buy in there. He wanted a minimum half an acre, 4 bedrooms, and 3 bathrooms, and I want to say it was like 3,200 square feet. So, he only wanted to pay up to, I believe it was 2.8. So I got a title report, and I filtered out everything, took the 1,500 homes, got it down to 282 that matched his profile and his price point. With the estimated value, I did 3 postcards, sending it to just those people saying I have the buyer for this house. I ended up getting 6 phone calls. One of them happened to be from the top agent in the neighborhood, and I used to work with him. And he called me, said, I have one coming up, and I'll let you in there beforehand. And it ended up being the right house, and basically got it off market.
That's good.
Awesome.
You're amazing.
Gwyneth Paltrow said something yesterday that I thought was cool. She said that curation is valuable. And I think that if you're somebody who does a lot of business, you specialize in a certain area, you're not putting somebody like on that automatic drip all the time. I mean, that's gonna save you a lot of time if you are, whether you have an assistant helping you hand pick those properties and curate those properties, give them to those buyers. Otherwise, if you have them on that drip, you're looking at properties all over the place, and ones that are next to gas stations and ones that are just turds. So if you actually say like, here are the 3 best properties that just came up this week, and go look at those, and you might have to battle for them, but it seems to me like that is a way to add value, because you're a curator. You're You know the best houses,
Yeah,
the
we,
best locations.
we stopped sending out automatic searches.
Yeah,
It's so lazy.
yeah.
No offense if anyone does it, but it's
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
you can work so hard for your clients, and that's like, my team's great at it. Every morning we're in the office from like 10 to 11. All of us are on our computers, looking at the searches, finding the top 2, sending it to our clients every morning. Doesn't take time, but so much value. We get responses showing that afternoon. Makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Perfect. And with that, we just got a red light up here. We're out of time. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
You didn't want to keep going?
If you'd like to meet the speakers, we'll be doing photo ops over here after. And unlike Mickey Mouse, you can actually get closer than 6 feet. So thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. And thank you for coming to Side by Side this year.